Hello Mouses! Welcome back to the Not Mouse Show. We're changing formats a little bit. We're going to have more emphasis on law and legal news because that is really our key focus, and I think I've got off topic a little bit in recent months. So we're going to start this by having a question, and we're going to do this every week. We're going to have a question and answer session with anyone who wants to ask a question. Remember, I'm not going to give legal advice, I'm just going to explain problems in law and see what your rights are and things like that. So we're going to start off with a question from Jennifer Kirk.
Well, I've got a little bit of a legal problem. I bought something from a shop, and then when it turned out to be defective and I took it back, the shop said initially that I couldn't have a refund, they would only give me a credit note. After a bit of arguing, they then said that I'd have to wait whilst they sent the product off to be repaired, and that I'd basically have to be without whilst that was happening. I don't think this should be the case. Is it the case? Or should I be able to just have a full refund on a faulty product under these circumstances?
Okay, first up, the Sale of Goods Act 1979 has a section 14, paragraph 2, which states that all goods purchased from a store must be of satisfactory quality. So if you buy something and it's defective, you have a right to a refund. Or if the store has another one, you could have a replacement, and then they can use their rights under the same part of the same act to get the manufacturer to give them a new one. So never, under any circumstances, should anyone say no refunds, no exchanges, you have to talk to the manufacturer, because you don't. You can take it straight back to the shop because you have no contract with the manufacturer, you've got a contract with the shop, and that's something to remember. The manufacturer might, out of their own goodness of their own hearts, decide, oh, yeah, we don't have to deal with them, just send it to us, we'll repair and replace. But they don't have to, you've got no contract with them, there's no link between you and them, your link is with the person who sold it to you. It's worth noting while we're on with section 14.2 that section 14.3 enhances this a little bit. So, for example, if I go to a shop and say, I would like a DVD recorder, and they sell me a DVD player, well, that's not exactly suitable for my stated purpose. And that's what section 14.3 is about. Suitability for a stated purpose. So if I go to a shop and say, I don't really know all that much about DVD players, but I know I want to be able to record something from the TV while I'm out, like I used to do with my video recorder, as well as be able to play DVDs. And they just sell me a straight up player. That's not going to do what I wanted. So I can then go, well, this doesn't do what I asked for, so I'd like another one. Or, this doesn't do what I asked for, so I'd like my money back. Either of them is perfectly fine under section 14.3 of the Sale of Goods Act 1979. Now, let's just finish this off. Let's say that the shop has a no refund sign prominently in the window of the shop, or right next to the till, or behind the cashier while they were serving you. Does that change things? Because certain signs do sometimes change what your rights are. For example, if you go to a car park and before you go in there's a prominent sign that says that cars are left at the owner's responsibility, that changes your rights regarding whether you can sue the car park over someone breaking into your car. Is that the same with the shop? No. You cannot lose your rights under Sales of Goods Act by someone putting up a sign in their shop or outside their shop or warning you with a loud hailer when you come into the shop. Those are statutory rights. Your statutory rights can't be affected by any sign or their statements or anything else. They are yours, they do not go away. Except in two circumstances, and these are important. If you have a product and it's defective and you don't go back in a reasonable time to get a refund or a replacement, you can lose the right to that. For example, I've got a defective DVD recorder. It doesn't record. It should record, but it doesn't. It's not a player in this situation, it's actually a recorder. But I decide that I'm not going to go straight down to the shop and get it replaced. I'm going to go and complain to people for 6 months. And just tell them they shouldn't go to that shop, they sold me the wrong thing, or they sold me a broken thing, or whatever I tell them. Then, during that 6 months, that's not a reasonable time to have waited. So when I go back and they say, no, that's too old now, we don't know when it broke. Perfectly reasonable. They can stop you exerting your statutory rights because the statutory rights have in them a time limit of sorts. It's reasonability. There's no set period. A court or a judge or good common sense can decide what's reasonable and what's not. But it is there. Similarly, if you alter the product in a way that it can't be returned in the same state as you purchased it, then you can't return it. So let's stick with the DVD recorder example and say I had this DVD recorder and it doesn't record, so I opened it up and had a prod around to see if I could fix it, and it still doesn't work. So now I want to take it back for a refund. Well, you've altered it, you've opened it and fiddled with it, and now they can't tell which bit was broken because of you and which bit was broken because of a manufacturing error. So they can say, no, you can't have a refund. But here's the important thing. Don't ever fall for this one. If you open the box a product came in, that is not altering it to the standard where you can't return it. Just taking it out of the box is perfectly fine. How would you know that it was defective if you hadn't opened it and had a try? So there's that. You can open the box. You just can't fiddle with the product or paint it or do something like that. You can't alter it to that extent and still expect a refund. Okay, that's really all we've got time for today, so thank you very much to Jennifer Kirk for sending that question. And if you did like this, remember to click the like button, share it with your friends so that they know what their rights are as well, and do subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching The Old Mouse Show, and I'll see you tomorrow.